Everything Vivien did was perfect. She was perfect. She was the most beautiful woman I've ever met. I think probably Larry says the same thing, because no one could have been so lovely. She was physically beautiful, and then she had this wonderful sophistication. She could speak 5 languages. She knew about music. But I mean, really, she went to rehearse.
They were the magic couple, you see. She was trying to catch up with him as an actress, but she was ahead of him as a hostess. I mean, she was wonderful. She arranged everything. She arranged the people who would be there so that Larry would be entertained, and she would be too.
Her house was always lovely. The flowers, the dishes. She was a marvelous cook. I have several of her favorite recipes that I've kept. And everything in the room, you know, in one's bedroom, the towels, the sheets, the breakfast set, everything seemed to tone in. It was beautifully done. None of us were aware at the time that Vivien was actually sick. It took years to find a medical term for it, but it's like depressive mania. And it has its ups and its downs. And when she was elated, periods where she couldn't sleep and was tremendously excited, she also had to have companionship from young men. And Peter Finch was a very handsome young man who, of course, was very, very keen on forwarding his career. And Larry saw that he had talent, and he was on the lookout for people. He wanted to find young actors to encourage the theatre in Australia. Because if they came back to England and had the success and worked with other companies, they might go home and do the same at home. It was very much on his mind all the time. Larry used to come and have holidays with us in Ischia. And this time he came out because he was very tired and very worried about Vivien because she was filming. I think it was in Africa or something like that, 1953. And it was the first time that they actually realized how serious this was and that it wasn't being willful. It was an illness.
We heard suddenly that Elizabeth Taylor was going to be going to this film Elephant Walk and that... my darling Vivien was out. She wasn't well, and I thought it was the tuberculosis, you know. That's all. Lap dissolved, and then about a month later, 2 months later, 2 in the morning, David rings and says, Jimbo, he was the only one who called me Jimbo, apart from my sister, got a problem with Viv, can you come down? Because John Buckmaster was there, and he couldn't get Buckmaster out of the house, and Buckmaster was not the one who should be with Vivien. And Peter Finch had just walked out on Vivien, and she had gone into a complete nervous breakdown. Because the story was that Finch's wife had come over, and Finch had just dumped Vivien and gone to his wife. Which wasn't charming, however. And when I arrived, I said, of course, I'll be down. And when I arrived, Vivien was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen, because she was mad. Completely, utterly mad.
It was at that point that she thought she was a bird and she was going to fly into space. And they found her held by her ankles from the top of the banister of a deep well of the staircase in the house she lived. So it was almost tragic. It was touch and go.
And I ring the doctor, so I can't do anything with her. So he comes up with these 2 female nurses who are really male. They look, I mean, they're enormous, you know. And they walk in, and Vivien can be a very, very frightening lady. And she walks to the head of the stairs. How dare you? Who are you coming in my house, you know? And they start to shake, and one of them foolishly says, I know who you are. You know, we know who you are. Scarlett O'Hara. And then she says, and this, I think, the psychiatrist said this is what saved her reason, was she escaped into the part. She said, no, I am not. I am Blanche Dubois. And get out of my uniform.
Before I start screaming. Get out of here! Quick before I start screaming!
We'd sent for Larry to come over, and he came over and was horrified and shocked. But it wasn't somebody in love with her then. It was somebody who was doing his duty.
Larry then brought her to London, and the doctors then suggested a long sleep cure. He, at that time, naturally could not explain what was happening to Vivien, nor could anyone else, and he didn't want it to ruin her career in any case. That was flourishing, and so that he was personally shocked and desperately trying to defend her.